Donald Trump has officially won the presidency. Here's how he did it. He focused on key groups that I've discussed before in some of my videos, but it shows you the strategy, not just behind demographics, but around the electoral college. Group number one, Muslim Americans or Arab Americans. Trump was able to weave his dynamic around the Israel-Palestinian issue by simply being anti-war. You'll notice that he never outright said anything that was too pro-Israel, which is very interesting because Trump had very big Jewish American donors and traditionally has a very strong pro-Israel stance. But he understood that he wanted to win states like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, which had just enough, especially Michigan, just enough of a Muslim and Arab American population to swing the election. That is why he did so well. And by so well, I mean he got at least 30% of the Muslim American vote, which, reminder, and I know this is simple, but every vote that he gets takes away from the Democratic vote, and the Democratic coalition needs every single minority group to turn out in at least 90% plus numbers in order to make up for their smaller sizes as a minority. But if those minority factions turn on the Democratic Party, then they do not have a winning coalition. Number two, unions. Unions were very strong under Joe Biden. Whatever that reason is, maybe because he's an older white man, maybe it's because he's from Scranton, Pennsylvania, he has those ties. Unions loved him. Unions did not like Kamala Harris. And where were unions big? Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. All the swing states. And of course, they're big in other states like New York, but in Pennsylvania specifically, union lower turnout for Kamala Harris was a big deal. Not just because of the voting power, unions are voting machines. And every union voter that votes for somebody, you can almost add a +2 because unions are organizers. They're the people who will go out and knock doors, write pamphlets, make phone calls. So getting union voters on your side is also getting worker bees for your electoral machine. Number three, the Amish. And this is one of the most fabulous ways in which the American electoral system is so unique that a population of under 1 million people can literally change the trajectory of the country because of how our electoral college system is laid out. And the feds, under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, raiding Amish farms, going after their raw milk and their practices, really pissed a lot of them off and ensured that they would come out and vote for Donald Trump in record numbers, which in a state like Pennsylvania, where margins were already so small, mattered immensely. Hispanics, Florida. Look at the state of Florida's demographic. It is one of the most Hispanic states, but it went over 10% for Donald Trump. We saw that in the tea leaves when it went in a huge number for Ron DeSantis. Florida is no longer a swing state, it is heavily Republican. We also saw that in Texas, where one of the counties that is 97% Hispanic literally went 16 points for Donald Trump. Hispanics now vote on par with white Americans. And that was another fracture in the Democratic coalition. Last but not least, we should talk about men. Specifically Hispanic men and black men. Black men broke for Donald Trump in historic numbers. And once again, even though the majority of the black vote went to Kamala Harris, they need at least a high percentage point of 90% or more for that coalition to sustain them in an electoral victory, and they hemorrhaged those votes. So Donald Trump played the electoral game perfectly. He shored up support in Georgia and North Carolina to the point where there was no worry of them being a swing state, and he made inroads in the blue wall states such as Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, which sealed the deal for him winning the election. Nevada and Arizona are just a cherry on top.